You're watching Ride Like a Local with Belt Drive Betty. I'm being joined right now by Jim Coggles, and he is the executive director of the Gateway of Hope here in Langley, British Columbia. Jim, tell me a little bit about this center and how it came to be, because I've heard the stories of some of the different residents.
Yeah.
I've heard how all these different community groups have come together to create this place. But how did it start?
Right. Well, you know, the Salvation Army has been serving in the communities of Langley for a number of years. We didn't have a facility such as the Gateway of Hope until 5 years ago. It all started with a vision, a coming together of the community, and a vision that was shared around the table to have a place that offered a comprehensive sort of what I could call a continuum of care model. You know, homelessness in the Lower Mainland, you know, is a reality, and many of the communities around here have not had the facilities and the places where people who are locally homeless can go to escape poverty, to find shelter, a hot meal, clothing, and as important, a listening ear, somebody who can just come alongside them and hear their story and help them get pointed in the right direction. So with the cooperation of all three levels of government, a lot of incredible local donors, businesses, organizations, individuals, Gateway was built in 2009.
I've heard that over 800 people have been served by the Gateway of Hope. What does that mean?
Okay, so the 800 represents the number of men and women who were served in our emergency shelter just last year alone. So this is a distinct number of individuals who have come through our doors. We've had folks who are local from within the community who have been battling addiction and mental health issues and other social issues in their lives for many years. So they, you know, you could say folks who have been really caught in a whole chronic cycle, right? And then we have folks who, for any number of reasons, have hit a moment of difficulty in their life, and are looking to the Salvation Army to help them out of it. So we had, you know, a young man in that out of that 800 people last year had come to BC looking for a better future. He was in a very tough spot, came from another province, found himself in a very, very difficult situation, ended up coming to us for help, and you know, spending a couple of weeks in our shelter, talking to our staff, being able to reunite with family back from the province that he was from, and family being able to step in and help with a bus ticket. You know, just an example of somebody who is just in a moment of crisis where they need some help. So the 800 represents just that group that came into the shelter last year. And of course we have countless others who come to us for a hot meal every day, and others who access our community and family services. So we have a variety of different services. We send children to camp. We help families with Christmas hampers. We have an income tax program for folks who are living below the poverty line and can't afford to get their taxes done, or really just don't, you know, they've gotten behind and now they need some help in order to get kind of back on track. So a lot of variety of services that we offer.
One of the services that really impressed me was the kitchen and the training of people to actually have skills that can translate to a job at a later date.
Yeah.
Tell me how that program got started.
Sure, you know, the whole idea, I mean, it's so very important that we offer those primary level of care services, feeding, clothing, housing people. But the idea too is to when you're talking to people, is to find out what their goals and their dreams are and help them to get further along than just surviving. And so the skills training program was born out of that. And it's so there's two aspects of our transitional housing program and our community outreach program. There's the what we would call the personal development skills. So folks who have come, let's say, out of a lifetime of addiction, living on the streets. Coming to us and connecting into programs that help them develop those basic life skills that you and I would just take for granted. They've just become everyday for us. But if you've been living on the street, that's not the case. So you've got those sort of personal development skills, and then we also wanted to help people get a leg up in terms of employment. We recognize that meaningful, gainful employment is important to people for a number of reasons, obviously, but not the least of which it builds self-esteem, and it gives a person a sense that they've got some empowerment, and they're making some taking some charge in the direction of their life. So we looked at what we could offer here. We've got a lot of partnerships in the community, but one of the, of course, the central elements of our ministry is the feeding program, and so we've kind of married those two things together. We're feeding a lot of folks, but we also we channel a lot of volunteers through our kitchen. At the same time, we're able to offer people training. So we have folks that are in our program at Gateway taking that training. We also have people from the community taking that training. And so Cook's Training, we offer WMIS, Food Safe, and a number of other training courses.
How many people work at Gateway to make all of this happen?
Well, right now we have, if you include our part-time staff, we have over 50 staff, full-time and part-time. We're a 24-hour residential operation, so we have staff on 24 hours a day. And I think what I don't want to miss out on is our volunteer base, because we have as many volunteer hours being put into our facility on any given year than we do staff hours. So we have right now an active roster of some 150 volunteers, some giving part-time service, some are giving more than that. And many in our kitchen, but we also have volunteers doing things like administrative work or helping us with our reception area, helping us with our family services. Many of the folks who are doing the taxes for our men and women who are coming into our family services for income tax support are volunteers. But yeah, there's a lot of people making things happen. But what we found is, having a good building is very important. Having a welcoming atmosphere, having good programs, having all the training pieces that we have in place, those are all really important, but at the end of the day, it's about people helping people.
Partnerships that have come together. I had spoken with some of your, the chairs, the two co-chairs about the ride, and the fact that you have 3 opposing credit unions, all competitors working together. How many sponsors has it taken to build the Gateway of Hope and to keep it running?
Right. Well, I would have to say we've lost track. I mean, I know that we could sit down and put together the list, but there's so many. And, if you walk into our front entranceway and you look to the left, you'll see a series of plaques. Many are individuals, but there are also, names of organizations. And we have companies and organizations locally helping us on a day-to-day basis with food donations and donations of material goods. We run a skillet cooking course where we, for a 6-week period on a weekly basis, we bring people in and teach them how to properly budget for and prepare wholesome meals for themselves. So it helps them financially, it also helps them with the cooking skills component. And at the end, they after graduating from the program, they get to keep the skillet, and the skillets locally are provided by Canadian Tire. So it's just an example of a local partnership that makes what would seem like a small program, but it's such a vital and important program to individuals starting over in life. How that kind of a partnership can make it happen. In terms of our ride into history that we've just experienced this weekend, I mean, if you look at the group that's come to the table to help us out, so many organizations, and you've talked about the 3 key ones, and that says something when competitors in a sector in the community come together and say, you know what, yeah, we all see the importance of this, and we want to work together to make it happen.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for the work you do in the community.
Thank you, Betty. Yeah, appreciate this very much. Yeah.
Community Futures Grand Prairie and Region. Business development assistance, business planning, cash flows, market research, business loans up to $150,000.
Community Futures, growing communities one idea at a time.
Canada's most rider-friendly community. Where is it? Is it in Carman, Marystown, Viking? Where in this vast land is Canada's most rider-friendly community? Help us discover that special community at riderfriendlycontest.ca. I'm being joined right now by Ron, who is the president of the Greater Vancouver Motorcycle Club. Tell me a little bit, Ron, as to why you guys have embraced the Gateway of Hope.
Our club originally got involved in the first year that this was being set up with the help of Mark from Western Power Sports at the time. It approached us, and Peter Fassbender and friends of ours through the First Nations. They were involved the first year, and that was the only year they stayed involved. It's just a good chance for the motorcycle community to give back.
The Gateway of Hope, everybody I've talked to tells me about all of the wonderful work that they do here. Why would you guys come from the Greater Vancouver area and come support something in Langley?
Our club, it's the Greater Vancouver Club. We support clubs. We've got a sister club down in Oakland, California. Our motto, or I guess the motto for the club is for the betterment of motorcycling. So anything that helps motorcyclists, motorcycling, any charities we're involved in. We also have big runs ourselves for the Children's Hospital. We help out wherever we can.
You know, it seems like every person that rides a motorcycle feels so connected to their community.
I would say the majority of them do. Motorcycling's changed a lot in the last 20, 30 years. Our club especially has had a lot of individuals return that owned bikes back in the 60s, 70s, etc. But due to family, financial matters, whatever, they got out of it for a short period of time. Now they're the, quote, boomers that have, you know, the money, the time, etc. And they enjoy it. They know what family and community means.
How many members are in the Greater Vancouver Motorcycle Club?
Right now, I think we're sitting with about 113 paid members. We've got, I'd say, active about 45 to 50, and I mean very active members. Our club goes back to 1922. It's one of the oldest clubs in Canada, and one of the few clubs that is in the Motorcycle Hall of Fame.
Yes, I had heard that as well. And you guys, when Nanette was running the motorcycle shows out here, you guys were always very active in that. Now that Lori Pates is going to be taking over the for Power Sports Services, she's just been newly hired.
I got the email about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And so do you anticipate that your club is going to be participating in the Abbotsford show in a big way again?
Yes, we support the show fully. We look at that show as a chance for our members to just meet motorcyclists. During the past couple of years, we've always had good displays. We've had coin tosses with the proceeds going to the Children's Hospital, etc., things like this. But it's just a chance for the public to get to meet us and realize that some motorcyclists, and I will say all motorcyclists, are good people.
Yes, I think we are a great bunch of people for the most part. Now, the Gord Hepler run is a run that I have sponsored since I started my paper. How did that run go this year?
This year, myself and my wife kind of chaired the run this year and last. I would say one of the biggest setbacks was this year there was almost 8 inches of water on all the roads the day the run was held. Participation was down slightly. Profits, we were down. We made about $7,800 net for the Children's Hospital, which is not what we expected, but with the weather conditions, etc., it's acceptable for what we went through.
Well, still, $7,800 is $7,800 they didn't have the day before the run.
Exactly. And last year, it's the odds are, or the funny part is we had the exact same situation.
Yeah.
Roads were flooded, everything else, and yet we still had a great turnout. We run a silent auction. The whole community, all of the grocery stores, the chain stores, all the small businesses donate to us. They just know where the money's going.
What is one thing you would like the greater motorcycle community that watches this TV show to know about the GVMC?
We're an open club. It's probably the best thing that I like about it. We've probably got 6 or 7 new female members in the last year that are active. All brands are welcome, even Harley Davidsons. I shouldn't say that on TV, should I? No, we've got every possible bike in the club, and I mean every possible bike. We've got scooters, we've got everything. It's a club for social networking, social meeting, and just enjoying your fellow bikers.
I'm being joined right now by Mark Smith, who is he is actually the co-chair of the Ride into History for the Gateway of Hope here in Langley, BC. Mark, tell me a little bit about the history of this ride.
Well, this was something I always wanted to do. I had a thought to have a rally out of Fort Langley, which is one of the original settlements in BC. And I called actually the mayor here, and before I knew it, we had a thing with the Gateway of Hope going on and a charity and everything. Worked out really well, and it's growing. This is our 3rd year, and hopefully we'll keep it going.
Now, last year I understand you had about 30 riders, and this year you've had over 100. How does that feel?
That's great. People have heard about it now. They know about it. Everybody says it's a great ride, and they're having a lot of fun, and hopefully it will continue to grow.
Now, the Gateway of Hope, why that charity?
Well, it's a local charity. They do a lot of good. They take in the people that are homeless or trying to kick drugs or whatever their trouble is. They're trying to get them out of it. And they've got a really good program, teach them how to cook, and so they're getting them employment.
So everybody that goes through the Gateway of Hope program actually comes out of it with skills that can lead to a job.
Skills that they can use in real life and hopefully build a life for themselves after what they've been through.
Now, the ride today, we went from Fort Langley, and it culminated with us arriving in Cultus Lake.
Yes.
Talk about the route a little bit.
We just tried to go the back roads and some curvy roads and some places you hopefully people haven't seen before. Just get them out there, enjoy the weather, and see the sights.
It was quite nice of Mother Nature to decide to cooperate, because you guys had crap weather all week.
Well, I believe the Gateway had something to do with that. The Salvation Army, I'm sure they put in their order. They did very well.
They did so. Thank you very much for taking a few minutes with me, Mark.
Thank you.
The Sports Camera Store in West Edmonton Mall is your one-stop shop for drift and GoPro action cameras. We carry Canada's largest selection of action cam accessories, along with video sunglasses, hidden in surveillance cameras, and more. Visit www.sportscamerastore.com or stop in to our West Edmonton Mall location, lower level by the bay. Growing communities one idea at a time is Community Futures Grand Prairie and Region, providing business planning, cash flows, market research, and business loans. Visit www.cfofgp.com to see how we can help you. I'm being joined right now by Troy Gillardy, who is the co-chair of the Ride into History for the Gateway of Hope here in Langley, British Columbia. Troy, tell me a little bit about the history of the Gateway of Hope.
So the Gateway of Hope was a facility that was dreamed to be an opportunity to help people, those that would need, whether it's homelessness or addictions or just some support. And the community came together and they said we could make this something really wonderful. So rather than making some smaller facility, they came together and put a 31,000 square foot, 3-floor facility that contains a shelter, a training kitchen and a soup kitchen, teaching and training classrooms, counseling rooms, medical room, computer lab, and even residence that's in the building.
That's quite the undertaking for a community the size of Langley. How many partners did it take to make that dream come true?
And you know what, I'm glad you asked that question, because it really was because the entire community said, we want to get behind this. And so even though there was some differences in how it should get done, when it should get done, and all of those different things, when the Salvation Army said, we'll take the lead, the rest of the groups were willing to say, we'll help you, and even though it's not exactly what we were looking for, it's going to help. And in the end, it's turned out to be a wonderful opportunity in the community. So it's because people got together and did it together.
Now you actually have 3 credit unions working together that are competition to each other. How in the heck did that come together?
Yeah, that's a little bit of fun. You know what, it's great to see competitors be willing to put aside that business competition and realize that community is more important. And I can tell you that these 3 credit unions have done that well. We've had the Aldergrove Credit Union, the Prospera Credit Union, and Envision Financial come together and say we're going to pull this together as a trio, and we're going to make this event do something wonderful for Salvation Army Gateway of Hope.
And then another partner that you've got is the Lions Club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Fort Langley Lions Club has been involved with us right from the beginning with this event, And the Central Lions Club has actually come on this year to help us with the staging for the Friday night concert.
Now, that was quite the event last night. All those wonderful antique and vintage cars, the beautiful motorcycles, fabulous music. Who came up with that particular idea to have a pre-ride fun night?
So we decided that having the ride on its own was just not enough. And there's a number that are in this group that are from different clubs, whether it's the Greater Vancouver Motorcycle Club or Thunder Kings, the Gospel Riders. There's quite a few of them that I could name. And we were just saying, you know, any day the clubs could take out a ride, but let's do this for the Salvation Army and let's make it a more comprehensive weekend event. And so we decided that the Friday night at the birthplace of British Columbia, Fort Langley, would be a really good idea. And it just seemed natural to have Randy Elvis Frisky at that event and to get the classic cars and the motorcycles out. And so, as you said, people had a lot of fun last night. I really heard that, and they're obviously having a lot of fun here today as well.
Yeah, it's a wonderful addition to this event. This is the first time you're actually doing games at it, I understand.
That's true. This was one of those additions for this year, and it seems to be working out well. Everybody's having a joyous time as much as they rib each other about it. But let's face it, we've had a good long ride today and some good stops. And seeing Cultus Lake and the Threshermans, which showed us some beautiful history of the farming equipment out there, and stopping at Birchwood Dairies, getting some good ice cream at the farm. And then ultimately, of course, to come back here to Salvation Army Gateway of Hope and enjoy these rodeo rides.
Well, thank you very much for taking some time with me, and thank you for hosting this event. It's definitely wonderful to see so many factions of the riding community and the non-riding community come together to build hope.
Yeah, excellent. And I thank you for coming down and being a part of this as well.
Thank you, Trey. I'm being joined right now by a gentleman named Tom James, who basically set out the route for the ride into history today. Tom, tell me a little bit about the route and why you chose the roads you did.
Well, one of the things that we do on this ride into history is that we're starting at the historical Fort Langley. So we have the historic part, and each and every year my job is to find the historic roads. Those are the original trails that actually led to the fort and into the surrounding area, and also to find destinations that have a historical significance. This year, of course, we actually went to the Museum of Threshers Museum, in which they have farm machinery, trucks, and vehicles used in the farming industry from the early 1900s. Last year, we actually went to the monastery. A lot of people don't know where the monastery was. They've heard about it, but we go to these places. The military museum was one of our previous destinations. So the idea is to bring people in touch with things that have happened in the past. And part of our sign here is to do a ride into history, is to make homelessness history. So it's just trying to tie all of those factors together.
Now, there's lots of beautiful curvy little roads and all kinds of beautiful things to see. Cultus Lake is a place I haven't been since I was 16 years old. So tell me why you chose to bring us there for lunch.
Well, one of the issues that we've had is that we are trying to get out farther and farther because there's only so many places that we have close to where we are right now. So going farther and farther out, it is also an opportunity for the Gateway, because of their culinary program, for them to actually prepare lunches and show what the Gateway of Hope does do for the community. So they were the ones who provided lunch today. So their people, staff, and they prepared all the lunches and then brought them out for the service. So that allows me more flexibility on how far I can go out into the community and find these lovely places to go see.
How much research time do you spend trying to figure out where you're going to take people?
Well, it's the research time. It's also trying to get the permission to come to these places. So there's a little bit of time that comes through, and it has to be interesting. If it was just highway driving, no one would show up. So we find the back roads, we find the old trails, and one of the roads that you're on today is the Telegraph Trail, and that was one of the first trails that the Aboriginal communities used to go from community to community. So how old is it? They say it's very old. So it takes a little bit of time. So next year, I got to find some more places.
I'm going to have to see if I can swing coming again, because that was a fun ride today.
Well, I thank you very much. And you know what? We're already planning for next year. We've already got trying to make it bigger and better.
Thank you for taking some time with me.
You're welcome.
Okay. Dave and Candace are joining me right now. They're riders who took part in the Ride into History today. Tell me why you decided to come out from Mission and Delta to take in this event.
I'm actually a nurse from Chilliwack Hospital. I work in the ER, and several of my patients have gone there. So I'm really strong advocate of Salvation Army just because of what they do for people who are in desperate need for home or for shelter and food. It's a great place for people to go in situations where it's difficult for them to find homes. So yeah, I'm just a very strong supporter of it for that reason.
For me, I think it was the church we were attending at the time. You know, they had asked Salvation Army Gateway to Hope would come out and said, you know, would you guys be interested in helping out? And so I said, okay. We went on the committee, and you know, I've always been a community-minded person. You know, giving back is a big thing for me. You know, there's a lot of rides out there, and you know, this one is one where you can give something rather than take something, and that's what it was for me, was to give back to the community. The people that are involved in it, they're in the local community, you know, they're directly involved in the running and the day-to-day operation of the charity itself. You know, whereas you get a lot of charities out there now where there's, you know, large corporations that are doing the promo work, and they're doing everything, and they take a piece of the take, right? You know, the money that's raised, you know, 100% of the money that's raised today goes right to this very worthwhile charity, and I'm a very strong advocate of that.
They could probably charge more. I know there are costs involved with this ride. Yeah, they could probably charge more, just because of how the impact in the community for the people who get the opportunity to use the Salvation Army.
Well, I look at what riders get for coming out and supporting this. I mean, we get breakfast, we get a t-shirt, a pin, lunch, and a beautiful dinner, and rodeo games, and we're entertained like crazy. I don't think $100 is out of the question for something like this.
No, I really believe, you know, personally, you know, you get what you give, and you know, I'd be willing to pay $100, maybe even $125 for something like this, an all-day affair. You know, and like you say, Betty, you know, there's a lot going on. You know, it's a full day of events. You know, and you know, I would pay for that. You know, knowing that 100% of the money goes to the charity and those that are in need, right?
It was a really great. We had Friday night, we had Saturday night. It could be, if you wanted to not ride, it was family on Friday night. It really, anybody and everybody could come out to this event in some way and show their support for Salvation Army. So yeah, just the fact that anybody could participate.
I think for me, it would be, you know, a lot of riders out there, you know, you know, it's true, we have a little bit of a bad rap. And, you know, to get a large group of people out to something like this where you're giving back and you can show the community, you know, just what great people we can be, you know, riding courteously on the road. When we were at Cultus Lake, you know, I had, you know, comments from some people that were out there picnicking, you know, wanting to know what was going on. And they're like, oh, wow, man, how can we find out more? And you know, it's a great show for the community to see a bunch of people dressed in leather looking badass get out there and do something good for the community, right? You know, so that's what I think I want to say to the biking community. You know, guys, you know, come on, get out, let's support stuff like this. Let's show the community just how good we can be.
And on that note, thank you.
Check out the Ride into History, Langley, British Columbia, July 24th and 25th. You won't regret it. You've been watching Ride Like a Local with Belt Drive Betty. Next week on Ride Like a Local, we'll be taking in the Bikes Against Bullies event in Port Coquitlam and Vancouver, British Columbia. Join us next time on Ride Like a Local, and until then, ride safe.